and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1955B, and today's date is August 28th, 2019, and the title of the episode is The Chosen One. The first wave is about to hit. Now, before we get started, I wanted to talk about being prepared. With all the common threats nowadays in America, especially with the major earthquakes happening in California, the future of America and the stability of its power grid are not promised, and either is your safety. One of the best things you can invest in for your protection if the lights go out is a solar power bank. And why not purchase one of the best solar banks on the market, the Patriot Solar Bank? Take advantage now and give you and your family the gift of power anywhere in the world. Please visit patriotsolarbank.com. Use the code X15 to get 15% off. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, the deep state, they are pushing it all now. Getting Trump taxes, pushing impeachment, using racism, which has kind of died off right now, pushing recession, which they continually are putting out there in the mainstream media. They're on the defensive. Why? Because of what is coming. The first report is getting ready to be released, and here comes the first trip, the first wave. Remember, this is just the opening act. This is not going to be, let's throw everyone into prison, lock up the cell, and have court trials. They're going to drip this out. It's going to be very slow because they want them to feel the pain. They want the people to be educated. They want the people to understand and build the narrative. And we're going to watch this entire thing play out. Remember, we all know, because we've been studying this, we've been looking at it, we all know what it's all about. But most of America, they don't. They have to be brought into the fold. And this is what we're watching right now. And we'll be talking about this a little bit later in this report. But first, let's talk about Representative Omar. It seems we are at a tipping point. From the FEC complaint filed by the Conservative National Legal and Policy Center, it looks like Representative Omar used campaign funds to fund her affair with a married Democratic consultant, Tim Mynett. Omar's campaign began funding travel for Tim Mynett's company less than a week before the Democratic consultant confessed to his wife he was having an affair with the Congresswoman. Dr. Beth Jordan Mynett said in a divorce filing, which was on Tuesday. Omar and Tim have been pictured together at multiple events, including a late March care fundraiser in which Omar described the 9/11 terror attack as some people did something. Omar's campaign has dispersed around $223,000 to Tim's company, E Street Group LLC, from August 2018 through June 2019, mostly for fundraising consulting, FEC records show, but on April 1st, her campaign began making payments to E Street Group for travel expenses. Less than a week later, on April 7th, Tim confessed to his wife that he was romantically involved with and in love with Omar, and this is according to the divorce filing. Beth Mynett said in her filing that her husband's more recent travel and long work hours appeared to be more related to his affair with Representative Omar than with his actual work commitments. Omar's campaign dispersed around $21,547 to cover travel expenses for E Street Group across 8 payments from April through June, and this is coming from the FEC records. The timing of Omar's campaign travel reimbursement to E Street Group, coinciding with the start of Omar's alleged affair with Tim, is suspect according to an FEC complaint. Omar was fined $500 by the Minnesota Campaign Finance and Public Disclosure Board in June and ordered repay her campaign just under $3,500 for using campaign funds to travel to a conference in Florida. And as you can see, they're looking into all her records. Now, we need to remember, and we need to go back a little bit in time. Remember when investigative journalist David Steinberg, he covered the incredible story for years on how Omar married her brother, and he has documented evidence? What is interesting is that Representative Omar continues to deny her marriage to her brother, even though there's clear evidence that she is lying. The marriage certificate between her and Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi has his birth date as April 4th, 1985. And when we look at the records, guess what? That's the same birth date as her brother. Let's go back a little bit in time. David Steinberg reported at PJ Media. According to official student enrollment records archived by St. Paul Public Schools and the state of Minnesota, and Ahmed N. Elmi was enrolled as a senior in the class of 2003 at Arlington Senior High School in St. Paul, Minnesota, from September 6, 2002 until June 10, 2003. He graduated and received a diploma. The enrollment record states that Ahmed N. Elmi was born on April 4, 1985. Both Representative Omar's 2009 marriage documents and her 2017 divorce proceedings state that Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi was born on April 4, 1985. After an extensive background search, David Steinberg says he is not able to find any other person named Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi, Ahmed N. Elmi, or even Ahmed Elmi with the birth date April 4th, 1985. The man Omar married and the 17 to 18-year-old who attended Arlington Senior High School in St. Paul, Minnesota in 2002-2003 are one and the same. It is also clear that her brother husband, Ahmed Nur Saeed Elmi, has an almost identical name to her father, Nur Saeed Elmi Mohammed. So it is clear that Elmi is her brother and the two were married. And Omar divorced her brother in 2017. But the divorce records say something very interesting, that she divorced with a dissolution with a child. And from the case from the Minnesota Register of Actions shows this. So the court documents further state that she had a child with a different husband while she was married to her brother. Very interesting. Now, Alabama Republican Party approves a resolution to oust Omar from Congress. They passed a resolution to urge their congressional delegation to oust Minnesota Representative Omar from Congress. So the resolution was passed by voice vote at the state party's meeting over the weekend after being proposed by Representative Tommy Haynes of Scottsboro. And we'll have to see how that all plays out. But as you can see, they're digging into her life and what she has done. And a lot of it is going to be exposed. Now, let's go back to the Mueller report. Now, we understood that the Mueller report was going to show no collusion, no obstruction, because there was nothing there. It was a complete and utter witch hunt. Trump continually tweeted this out to let everyone know that, yes, it was a witch hunt. Now, very interestingly, the deep state, they were preparing for the Mueller report. They thought that they were going to have everything they needed to move forward with impeachment. They were going to get the collusion, the obstruction, and everything else. So they prepared ahead of time. And we found out from a court filing document that they've been conducting an impeachment investigation of Trump since before the Robert Mueller even submitted his report. Because they were expecting a completely different outcome. They thought that they were going to receive this report and they might as well get a head start to get Trump out of office. This is why they were so surprised when they got the report, because there was nothing there they could use. They were preparing for something and they didn't get it. And this is why they kept pushing the impeachment. This is why they wanted Mueller to testify. And it completely backfired on all of them. Now, the deep state, they are so desperate that they will still try to do whatever they possibly can to get Trump's tax returns. They'll say that Trump got loans that were signed by Russian oligarchs. And they continually put out fake information. And this is what they were doing because an NBC reporter, Lawrence O'Donnell, put out that they have information that a Russian oligarch co-signed Trump's loans. And they were going to try to use this, and they're still pushing the story, that this is Russian collusion. Michael Del Moro tweeted out the following: Deutsche Bank is declining to comment on Lawrence O'Donnell's reporting that Russian oligarchs co-signed Trump's loans. The information came from a single source who has not seen the bank records. NBC has not seen those records and has not yet been able to verify the reporting. So right now there is absolutely no proof. Now, Lawrence O'Donnell tweeted out today and said the following: "Last night, I made an error in judgment by reporting an item about the president's finances that didn't go through our rigorous verification and standards process. I shouldn't have reported it, and I was wrong to discuss it on air. I will address the issue on my show tonight." Why do you think he's making an apology? Because he's being called out on it. Where is the source? Where is the actual evidence that you're reporting on? And this is why the movement is so important. This is why Q gave us information. This is why he wanted the Anons to research. This is what he wanted alternative media to research, to combat fake news with hard facts, to put the squeeze on them and to say, prove it. You're telling us this, but we show something completely different. You need to prove your end of it, because what you're throwing at us is propaganda. Now, Deep Stater James Comey, he tweeted out again, sending a message to all the players. He tweeted out the following: "Tonight, I told a former colleague that I'm tired of being a Trump critic. He responded with encouraging words that apply to all of us. Where you see wrong or inequality or injustice, speak out, because this is your country. He's right. Keep speaking out." So why is Comey out there tweeting again? Because the IG report on Comey is coming out. Remember, there's a separate report, and we'll get into that in just a moment. Remember, when these people talk about the country, their country, they're not talking to the everyday person. They're talking to the deep state players. They are talking about the country the way they were shaping it. Look at his last line of his tweet again. He's saying, because this is your country. He's talking to those people like Brennan, Clapper, Clinton, Obama, and the rest. This is your country. Don't let someone else try to take it from you. You need to speak out. That's what he's saying. Now, a lot of people believe that he's talking to the everyday American. But again, we're speaking out against him. Now, the Inspector General, he has done a separate report on James Comey. And the Justice Department Inspector General is preparing to release a report on the conduct of fired FBI Director James Comey in the Trump-Russia investigation. The Comey report is separate from a larger Inspector General report on the Justice Department's handling of the Trump-Russia probe. That report, sometimes referred to by Republicans as an investigation into FISA abuse, is expected to be released later. Among other things, Comey has been under investigation for his handling of several memos he wrote memorializing conversations with Trump. It is not clear what conclusions Horowitz has reached about Comey's actions. Horowitz earlier referred the Comey memo matter to the Justice Department for possible prosecution, but the justice officials declined to go forward with it because they have him on many other things. The memos are not important, but they're going to release it. And remember, the OIG is an opening act with the Comey memos. It will not be that interesting, and most likely there's going to be no prosecution. The memos are really not that important, not to the whole entire case. This is the opening act. The OIG report that they're releasing right now will introduce the sheep to the corrupt officials. Why did they decide to do this? Well, the people will be educated through this process. These are facts showing that these people were up to no good. Comey, on the other hand, he'll be at ease, saying, look, see, I did nothing wrong. I know they were classified, but it's not that bad. But it still shows that he did something where he knew it was classified. He believes he's off the hook. He believes that everything's fine. Deep state players, they will also feel at ease. They will believe they're in control. Look, there's really nothing here. Whoa, we were worrying about nothing. The Patriots will continue to drip more information out to the public. And each time they drip this information, it will get worse and worse for them. Why do you think Q continually says pain? How do you inflict pain? Well, you slowly bring out the truth, a little bit at a time. And as you bring it out, it gets worse and worse. That is pain. You make the people suffer. You point the finger at the people. They panic. They're afraid. People are continually reading this information, and they're getting nervous. And this was designed like this on purpose. They don't want to dump everything. They want the public to slowly understand what's about to happen. They want the deep state players to feel the pain. Let's go back to post 2856. If you know your opponent's move, what advantages that does present? If you have the truth on your side, what advantages does that present? If you have full control of the U.S. military, what advantages does that present? If you have complete authority to declass, what advantages does that present? If you have the support of the American people, patriots, what advantages does that present? Do not trust the fake news media. You are the majority. Mueller pointing to declass, pointing to OIG, pointing to truth, pointing to justice. The Great Awakening. You are the news now. Let's move on to post 2816. The declassification of all requested documents, plus more, will occur. This is not a game. Do not let personal emotional desires, do it now, now. What is taking so long? Now, take over. Logical thinking and strategy should always be applied. Game theory. We all want to see equal justice under the law. Transparency is the only way forward. Define the following: treason, sedition, subversion. Conspiracy to commit. Do you understand and fully appreciate the gravity of the situation? Do you understand and fully appreciate what POTUS endures each and every single day? He loves this country. He loves you. We must stand together in this fight. There is evil in this world. There is darkness in this world. There are those in power who wish to control, enslave you, to keep you sedated, to keep you unaware, to keep you blind. This will be on our timetable, and we will deliver. And by the way, and we will deliver is in all caps. Transparency and prosecution. There is simply no other way. And this is in brackets all bold, except one. Q. As we can see, it is on the Patriots' timetable. And every time the deep state tries to force their hand, every time the deep state tries to make a move, guess what? The Patriots have their timetable. They have the plan. And when the time is right, all will be released. But first, they're going to make them feel pain for what they have done to this country. Now, Trump, he is going to be nominating Gene Scalia. This is the son of late Justice for Labor Secretary. That's what he's going to nominate him for. And as you can see, Trump is continually maneuvering and positioning certain people in positions. When he first came into the presidency, these were not his people. These people were forced on him. The swamp was there. The swamp was there, and people were forced onto him to keep the status quo. Slowly but surely, these people were removed, and Trump and the Patriots are now making the choices. Everything has changed. Now, Nancy Pelosi, she is pushing the deep state agenda, the Dem agenda. They want everyone to return early to work on gun control. They don't want anyone to wait. Remember, this is fading away right now. So the question is this a cover story to get everyone back in D.C. because they know what is about to hit? They don't know exactly what's coming, but they have an idea. Do they know the plan? No, they don't. This is why they've been using ammunition, because they think they know, but they really know. They really don't. They're in the dark. Nancy Pelosi tweeted out the following: Rep. Spire and I have a message for Senate Majority Leader McConnell. We will not take no for an answer. The American people are demanding action to end gun violence. It's time to deliver. Now, we understand that these events are created for a specific purpose, to push legislation, to remove the weapons from the people. It's been like this from the beginning. And the mainstream media, the deep state, they have a very clear message. Guns cause violence. They cause death. We need to ban them. We need to regulate them. We need to take them away from the people. But when you look at the facts, and there is a good website called gunfacts.info, they're not actually pro-gun or anti-gun. They're actually pro-math. They use actual statistics, and that's all they care about. On this site, they have something there, and it says guns prevent an estimated 2.5 million crimes a year, or 6,849 every day. Most often, the gun is never fired, and no blood, including the criminals, is shed. Every year, 400,000 life-threatening violent crimes are prevented using firearms. 60% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they knew the victim was armed. 40% of convicted felons admitted that they avoided committing crimes when they thought the victim might be armed. Felons report that they avoid entering houses where people are at home because they fear being shot. Fewer than 1% of firearms are used in the commission of a crime. It's worth pointing out that the Center of Disease Control, in a report ordered by President Obama in 2012, following the Sandy Hook massacre, estimated that the number of crimes prevented by guns could be even higher, as many as 3 million annually, or some 8,200 every day. Think about this. This is the part the mainstream media, the deep state, they don't want you to know about. They only show one aspect of what is going on with a weapon, and they push it, and they push it hard to convince people that weapons are bad. Remember, these are inanimate objects. They can't do anything. It's the people behind them. Think about France, think about New York, and think about many other places where someone was driving a car and they decided to run into people. Was it the car? No. That individual, maybe the individual was hopped up on drugs, maybe they were mentally unstable. They took this gigantic machine with an engine made out of steel, and they rammed it into people on purpose, hurting or killing individuals. And this happened in many, many places around the world. Think about an individual that takes a knife and stabs many people. Is it the knife's fault? No. We need to look at the individual. We need to understand why these individuals are doing this. And we all know why. We understand that a lot of these individuals are on SSRIs, that innocence can be controlled, and they're mentally unstable. But again, they don't want us looking at that. They want us looking at something completely different. Look over here, not over there. Now, out in Afghanistan, it looks like the Taliban and the US, they're working on the final agreement, where the US is going to withdraw forces from Afghanistan, and Russia, they are ready to be a guarantor of any peace deal for Afghanistan, agreed by the United States and the Taliban. So right now, peace is moving forward. It's going to end the 18-year-old endless war that never needed to happen in the first place. This was created by the deep state to push their agenda throughout the Middle East and to pay for their covert operations using the poppy fields to create opium and to sell it across the world. Now, we know that the owner of 8chan will be testifying in front of Congress before the 5th of September. The mainstream media, the deep state, they are projecting and are trying to drive the narrative. We're now seeing articles pop up that 8chan is down because they have moved to the dark edges of the web. That's not the reason. The reason is because Cloudflare decided not to support them anymore, and they had to create their own type of Cloudflare system. And the owner said, we're going to keep it down until we testify. They're not moving anywhere. They're not on the dark edges of the web. It's going to be brought back up. And they're also saying that 8chan is a normal part of mass shootings. But we need to remember that the New Zealand shooter live streamed the shooting on Facebook. The El Paso shooter uploaded the manifesto to Instagram. Actually, if you really look at it, it's really Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube that you see this information. Not 8chan. 8chan reports all these individuals. This is why CodeMonkeyZ tweeted out the following. To everybody asking, we will remain offline until at least September 5th, 2019. Thank you for all your support and kind words. As law-abiding Americans, we will need you all to be respectively vocal in the days before the hearing. Please stay tuned. Why do we need to be vocal? Why do we need to show proof? Because we're going to see articles out there like 8chan is a normal part of mass shootings now. They're going to try to demonize 8chan. That's what this hearing is all about. It's to show everyone that 8chan is bad and they work with bad people. That's what this is all about. And we all need to be vocal saying, no, this is not true. And they want to keep Q offline. That's what this is all about. But it's not going to work. It's going to fail. Now, the other day, Trump mentioned he was the chosen one in the mainstream media. They went crazy. Of course, he was joking. He was being sarcastic. But in reality, he is the chosen one, not by God, but by the military, by those individuals that knew that the U.S. was on the wrong path, the path to war, the path to removing the rights of the people, the path to remove the Constitution for the people, of the people. They knew this, and they wanted this stopped. So they went out and they looked for someone to be the person to lead the movement. And they chose Trump. He agreed. He didn't have to do this. He said this many times. He could have just went off, made deals, played golf, and made billions and billions of dollars. But he said, I am the chosen one, when he was talking about China. Now, of course, the mainstream media went off the deep end and they said, Trump thinks he's the Messiah and all this stuff. But again, Trump doesn't say these things just to say them. There's always a reason why he mentions something. And Lady War Anon tweeted out the following. Wonder why POTUS looked east toward China and said, I am the chosen one? Hashtag QAnon DEFCON troll. Well, Lady War Anon linked to Huawei. Now, Huawei tweeted out the following. We've chosen to take AI to the next level, introducing Huawei Ascend 910, the world's most powerful AI processor, MindSpore on all-scenario AI computing framework. Lady War Anon tweeted out once again. Huawei, new AI, I am the chosen one. And there's a picture of their new chip, and it says on top, Huawei, AI, am the chosen one. Introducing the first commercially available artificial intelligence suite with the world's fastest AI chip and an open source platform. Was Trump pointing us to this new chip? What can this chip actually do? We know that Huawei was spying. We know the Chinese steal information. We know they were spying on the African governments. There's a reason why Trump said this, to bring it to our attention. And as you can see, he's always letting the people know that something is going on. And we all need to understand that the first wave is about to hit. The deep state is going to be hit with the first report. Now again, is this going to be the ultimate report and everyone's going to be like, whoa, everyone's committed treason? No. This is the opening act. This is just to bring attention to what has been going on. And we're going to see a lot more of this. They're going to drip this out, make them feel the pain. And as we go through this year to next year, it's going to get worse and worse. And there's going to be more and more hard evidence that comes out that implicates all of these players. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.